Today's video is all about building soil, and I am trying to reclaim the garden space that we inherited on this property that we moved into in September. Hey, get out of the garlic. Get out of the garlic. Carson's job. What's your job today, bud?
Starting the fire.
Why are we starting the fire?
To burn weeds.
Yes. So all of this stuff here came out of the garden. We've burned a lot of it already. That was something we were doing yesterday. And then today we're continuing the task. And this is his favorite part, getting the fire started. So previously, before we moved here, we were living in the suburbs, and we had about a half-acre plot there, and we had multiple gardens. We were there for 7 years. So leaving that soil honestly was a little bit hard because it was rich. It produced so much food, and the thought of starting over is kind of daunting, but also very exciting because I've learned a lot from building the soil at the previous place. What you doing, girlie? She asked if she could handsaw anything, and there's these random trees in the garden, so I was like, go at it. When we first got onto the property, the previous property, to start a new garden space, we did till that space. We then transitioned it into a no-till garden. So that was essentially, we didn't till it every year, and we just built the soil. So, oh, we got the fire going! You got it going.
I'm just gonna throw a match in that box.
No, honey, you have it going. You don't need to put a match in there. You got a good fire going here. All right, let's burn those weeds, okay? Once we tilled it that first year, we didn't till it again, and we just built the soil slowly. So that looked like every fall, I would put on a big old layer of leaves. I would also clean out our chicken coop area and take all of that and put that on the garden because I didn't plant the garden in the fall. And then in the spring, we would order a load of wood chips from Chip Drop. One thing I did learn about wood chips is one year I put on the wood chips like as soon as I got them in early spring before I planted, and it made planting really, really hard because I had to push back all the wood chips, and even then some was in the soil, so then it kind of pulled nitrogen from the soil. So from that process, when I would get wood chips in the spring, I would just let them sit in a pile. I would plant the summer garden, and then I would wood chip everything around it, basically like a thick layer of mulch. And that worked so good for me. I did not have to water the garden very much because it really retained moisture. It was just a great way to do that. And then throughout the summer, we had some pine trees on our property, and I would just rake up all the pine and put that like in my paths and as mulch to keep down the weeds for the summer. So it was just this slow building process. And then when summer was over, instead of ripping all of my plants out of the ground and like losing topsoil, I would go and trim everything at the baseline, and that would leave all the roots and everything in the ground so that it feeds the soil throughout the winter, doesn't disturb any of that good ecosystem like the ground beetles and things like that that you want. You don't want to break up all the worm tunnels, and you want those tunnels to create air in the soil. And then we would just start the process over again. That soil, by the time we left last year's garden, and produced so much food for us. The soil was so healthy. I mean, you dig into it and it was just like, I mean, it was just amazing. And the worms, there was just so many worms by the time we left. And I'm starting completely over here. And let me show you what my plan is to start completely over. Rachel is busy. She wants to cut down a tree, so I told her she could cut down this little one. She's starting with this limb over here. Maybe we should move the table, huh? The table that we all put in place in the last video. So since last video, this space has gotten cleared out. I did start like a burn pile in here and was getting, you know, just the big weeds. I'm gonna come through today and weed eat this, but let me show you the soil I'm working with. So I don't know if this will show up on camera, but I can kind of see where they would have had rows along here. Like this is kind of mounded right here. And then it looks like here, there's a lot of rock. So my guess is maybe there was rock paths in the garden. Little pebbles like that in the garden is not gonna be bad. They actually do add nutrients to the soil as well, minerals and things. as long as like when I'm planting this spring, if I hit a bunch of rock, you know, I'll try to clear that out. But for the most part here, we're just gonna go through today. We're gonna weed eat, and then we're gonna try to bring in some topsoil that we have, and I'm gonna layer that on. And then once the topsoil is down, we probably will tarp it. I got this half of the garden here weeded, and the chickens have been helping me. They're digging, they're finding pill bugs. The ones back there are dust pathing. But I am happy with them digging around because chickens in the garden in the winter, it's good. And this is like some kind of compost heap that was in here, so they're cleaning that out. But the next step will be to get some topsoil on here. So I'm gonna scoop up some wheelbarrow loads, and I'm just gonna follow that line they have and kind of top dress that with some topsoil for now. Now that I'm totally out of breath, but you all get the idea. I'm adding topsoil to the top of these rows, and then we are getting a huge big old silage tarp. We're gonna put a silage tarp on this and just let it sit until spring, until we can start the rest. Another element of building soil is in the spring, I will put compost on any sections where I'm planning on planting. Get good quality compost. Cannot stress that enough. Like if you want success in the garden, good compost is going to be key. So that is a part of building soil as well. Now here, because we have the space, we are going to start our own compost bins. That'll be a whole nother video. We'll show you that when we are setting that up, but compost in the spring. So building soil is a process. It's hard work, but if you put in the work year after year after year, every year your soil gets better. If you are building soil in a garden, it is worthy work, and you will have lots of fruit because of it.